volume 10! Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Now that I've got that out of my system, with RWBY Volume 10 officially in early production under Viz Media, and my Team RWBY vs Nameless King video well and truly underway in the process of being made, I figured now is the perfect time to finally make this one. A video concept that's been itching at the back of my mind for a while now. If the intro to this seems a bit jank and skewy, that's because I started working on this before the announcement. What perfect timing, huh? Whether you're an OG Volume 1 fan from the old RT forum days, or someone still catching up, let's take a moment to appreciate a story that's been unfolding quietly in the background. So without further ado, let's begin. In a show like RWBY, where the stakes are sky high and the fights even higher, it might be easy to overlook the quieter moments. But in the hush between battles, a story was slowly unfolding. One of trust, vulnerability, and love. And that story is that of Bumbleby. Some say it came out of nowhere. Others say it was fan pandering. But I say it was inevitable. And earned. Because the signs were there from the beginning. Welcome to the first episode of In Defense Of. A series where we're going to be unpacking misunderstood or underappreciated parts of media that we love. Today, we're talking about Bumbleby. The long road to love between Blake Belladonna and Yang Xiaolong. Now, it's important to acknowledge that Bumbleby didn't just arrive into the world of Remnant out of nowhere. For some fans, their canonization was everything. For others, it was controversial. But here's the thing. Many of the loudest criticisms didn't arise from nowhere. They often came from a refusal to engage with, or even notice the subtext that had been there all along. Moments like Blake being the first one that Yang calls during the fall of Beacon, and not her sister Ruby. The classroom scene where Yang reaches out, literally and emotionally, while Blake is spiraling after the return of Adam and the White Fang. Or even the voice actresses themselves, Barbara Dunkelman and Aaron Zek, who casually confirmed and always open that Bumbleby was part of the original plan. So let's look into a little casual breakdown from the people who know these characters best, to give us fans something between the lines.
Cute. I know. It honestly, like, what I was very surprised about in that moment was the fact that Blake took such charge of the situation. Yeah. I was like, I feel like the dynamic between the two, usually it's a Yang being a little bit more like gung-ho and taking charge, but Blake really like...
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's because Yang is just usually, like, whenever you first meet Yang, she's very, like, peppy and that, like, upbeat and stuff, and so now she's, like, trying to, like, actually have, like, the proper emotion of that. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well.
You are.
But, yeah. No, it's like a role reversal, and I think that kind of speaks to, like, how Yang feels about Blake, and how Blake is now, like, out of her shell, and so she feels confident now, and how she feels about Yang, and
she has been taking charge the whole season.
She has. This is her season, man.
It really is. I like how kind of a nerdy Yang gets in the moment too, where she's like brushing her hair back, and she's like, "Oh, is this what this is about? Teehee."
That was so cute. Oh God, this is what this is about. So like, this is something that's been on their minds
probably for a long time.
Yeah.
These aren't minor details. They're the foundation beneath what later became visible. And if you missed them, it doesn't mean they weren't there. And to understand why Yang doesn't say I love you first in the moment, we need to understand just who Yang is. She's bold. She's brash. She's the confident one. Or so it would seem from the outside. Yang sees herself as someone who others are often wary of. Maybe because of her strength. Maybe because of her personality. But for whatever the reason, she's been burned before. Pun intended. She's the girl who dives headfirst into danger, yes. But when it comes to feelings, she stands at the cliff's edge, terrified of the fall. Blake, however, knows what it's like to fall for the wrong person. Her relationship with Adam was never healthy. It was controlling, violent, and when she finally broke free, it came at a cost. Then came Sun Wukong. a friend, a confidant, maybe even a potential partner, as many Black Sun shippers would tell you. But their bond, while sweet, never ignited that same spark in my eyes. She felt safe with Sun, clearly, but never turned into something more. And that's what makes Blake's feelings for Yang so different. They didn't begin with infatuation or hero worship. They began with trust, with learning, with fighting side by side. Blake, once the runner, made the choice to stay. And that choice gave her the clarity to realize what Yang meant to her. So, when Blake says, "I love you," she isn't just confessing. She's completing a multi-season arc from mistrust to belief, from running to embracing, from fear to love. And Yang, brave, bold Yang, is floored by it. Because it's not just that Blake says it, it's that someone finally chose her. Not because she's strong, not because she's flashy, but because of who she is. And that vulnerability, that moment of truly being seen, that's scarier to Yang than any Grimm could be. Now, I think it's time to address a certain elephant in the room. That being Toradona. Which, for the uninitiated, is the ship between Blake and Adam. On the surface, it might seem like the ex-lovers turned enemy trope type deal. But let's be clear, this isn't some romance story gone wrong. It's very clearly shown throughout the series it was an abusive dynamic from the start. Adam manipulated, coerced, and gaslit Blake. He treated her as an extension of his ideals and not really as a person. So when she defied him, he tried to kill her. If you're still clinging on to Toradona as a valid pairing, it might be worth pausing and asking why. Romanticizing abusive narratives, especially when the source material itself condemns them, can desensitize us to real-life warning signs. Just to be clear, this section isn't about shaming anyone, it's about responsibility and how we engage with fiction. What we ship reflects what we value, and subsequently, what we're willing to excuse. Before we move into the broader conversation about criticism and so-called wokeness, I want to bring up something from the very beginning of the show, the yellow trailer. Scathing eyes ask that we be symmetrical, one-sided and easily processed. Yet every misshapen spark's unseen beauty is greater than its would-be judgment. That quote, cryptic as it is, has always stood out to me. It speaks to the heart of what RWBY became. A show about finding light in imperfection, about embracing what doesn't fit into neat little boxes. And if that doesn't describe Bumbleby, I don't know what does. Some critics argue that Bumbleby was rushed or shoehorned in for representation. But to me, that ignores years of careful build-up. Now, seeing as I'm a Muslim, and don't exactly make any attempt to hide it on the channel, it would be disingenuous for me to attempt to speak from the perspective of the queer community. So what I'll do is I'll let this post from Tumblr user BloodRaven55 speak for me. Now, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but they point out that the criticisms about same-sex ships being rushed or only existing so that two characters can hook up are almost exclusively aimed at queer couples, and never really at straight ones. And that this double standard reflects a deeper hypocrisy. The assumption that LGBT people only care about surface level romance is not only false, but honestly it's insulting, even as someone who doesn't particularly care for the angle, you know? As in truth, queer fans honestly actually often care more about the quality, chemistry and development of same-sex ships, because they have far fewer examples of good representation to choose from, or at least that's been my experience with it, interacting with these people. So while some may still support rushed or imperfect same-sex ships out of almost a necessity, that doesn't mean they don't want or expect better. And I think that's exactly what we were provided here with Bumbleby. Hence the video. But that does bring me to a deeper issue. The anti-woke crowd. Now look, at this point in time, saying something is woke has pretty much become meaningless. It's a term that just gets thrown at anything that dare include a female lead, queer people, people of colour, or just doesn't align with someone's rigid idea of what a story should be. There's plenty of examples in modern media, which I'll get into in a second. But again, here's the thing. Representation isn't just some checkbox all the time. Especially when it's narratively grounded. It enhances stories, really. It matters. Because it's real. In the same way that lonely children connected with Naruto. In the same way people who wanted to outgrow the bonds of their limitations connected with Bardock, I suppose. It's real. The problem is, people will accuse a show like RWBY of being woke simply because it chooses to show two women in a healthy, supportive relationship. As if that somehow breaks immersion or ruins storytelling. But RWBY using a scythe to lift up what's probably 1.5 tons Nevermore, what is it, about 100 feet into the air, and then doing a flip as she decapitates it at the end, that's totally fine, isn't it? But hey, I digress. Here's the reality. Calling something woke has become lazy shorthand for this made me feel uncomfortable because it included someone I don't relate to. And frankly, that's not a storytelling issue. That's a you issue. Let me be clear. I'm not here to paint with a broad brush. I only do that when I'm painting Beyblades.
Brother, I am pinned here! No. I am pinned here! No.
I know some of my own viewers might identify as right-leaning. I do myself. I'm not here to alienate you. I'm here to ask you to think critically about why certain things bother you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, only to challenge how we respond to stories when they challenge us. Take Squid Game, for example. There's a trans character in Season 2 named Cho Hyun-ju. And she was just there. No big reveal, no story-defining moment about her transition, like sure they talk about it very briefly. There's not a rainbow spotlight over her head while she does it. Because she's just a person. Complicated, messy, and flawed, just like everyone else in that show. And yet I saw a lot of discourse online immediately labeling Squid Game as woke. Why? Because it quietly and confidently acknowledged the character's existence. Not every piece of media needs to be your personal manifesto, but if your only reasoning for rejecting a character or a relationship like Bumbleby or Cho Hyun-ju or many other different examples is because it's different from your expectation, maybe the problem isn't within the story. Realistically, I should be completely against this, but I'm not. I'm actually all for it. Because it's been earned throughout the series. This isn't some sudden spark that's been shoehorned in. It was embers that slowly grew. From the classroom in Volume 1, from a shared trust, a hand on a shoulder, a promise to come back. A silent moment. But they're not just moments. They're milestones. This was a slow burn romance that respected the trauma both characters carried. This gave them time to earn each other, and when they finally found the courage to name it, it didn't feel forced. It felt right. Bumbleby matters, not just because it's canon now, after many years of theorizing from all of us in the fandom. It's not about spectacle, it's not about a dramatic kiss in the rain. It was quiet. It was earnest. It was tender. Two girls who had every reason not to trust anyone, finally trusting each other. In an age where queer stories are often rushed or sidelined, Bumbleby stands out. Not because it's perfect, because it's not. No offense, Miles or Kerry, if somehow you're watching this. While I personally really enjoyed Volume 8 and 9, they're not the best written of any of the series. Bumbleby stands out because it's patient. It shows that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's holding someone's hand in the dark. And sometimes it's being brave enough to say it first. While yes, Bumbleby did start as a bit of a fanship, or at least seemingly from the fandom's view, just with the matching up of colours like Checkmate or Black Sun, or what was that other ridiculous one from back in the day? Yeah, Red Rose. Yeah. Hey, I digress. In my opinion, Bumbleby in the end turned into a fantastic, character-driven, deep relationship that grew out of trust, pain, and healing. It's two huntresses who found each other. Not just because they were written to, but because their arcs led them there. And I personally can't wait to see how this story continues in Volume 10. Oh, and one more thing. Atten Rand from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 is going to probably be getting the next video. But if there's something else you'd like to see me defend, please do let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, all that YouTuber bollocks, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.